Definitely, definitely. We're gonna get into this as we do. I just want to let you guys know, and anyone who's out in the audience, this is the Renaissance Man Live Show. I'm your host, J Dangelo. We also have our co-host D.E. Wilder, and we have a special guest by the name of Knight here. And this Renaissance Man
Full
Show,
name, Mr. Marcus Knight,
that's right. And we go live
the
every
guru of
Thursday.
kindness.
Yes. And we go live every Thursday at 10 p.m. with hot topics and Awakening and Second Act. But today is a special day. You don't normally see us both live on this day. You will see my brother D. Wilder live because he has his own show that he does typically on Sundays. But this is one of our first actual, like, traditional interviews of the year. And we're going to be sitting down with my brother. First, let me give you a nice introduction to who he is and set the tone for this interview today. Does that sound good?
Sounds wonderful.
Let's do it.
All right, so let's get into it. So we have our special guest. His name is Mr. Knight. Family, before we bring on our guest, okay, I wanted to ground us in something we talk about often here on the RMan Live show, Mr. Wilder. And we know we talk a lot about gratitude, and we have a thing called Gratitude 4.0. And it's a great segue into the conversation we're going to have today, because the higher level gratitude that wakes us up this morning and reminds you that opening your eyes is not guaranteed. There's thousands of people that don't wake up. We realize that, right? And we did here for this special occasion, matter of fact. And today,
That's
our
right.
guest is someone who understands the truth in a way that most people never really know. He's a man who literally touched death 1 year ago and was given another chance at life. And instead of shrinking, he expanded. Instead of retreating, he recommitted. He came back with a mission to elevate kindness, okay, and elevate community, and elevate the way we treat one another. He spent over a decade doing the work at the highest levels, partnering with Unilever, major corporation, global corporation, police and fire department, national responders, and communities healing from school shootings as well. He's the CEO of Hand Up, Paid Forward, and the architect of the kindness movement, and the author of ABCs of Kindness and Making America Great Again. I just held that book up a second ago. So, balanced our audience during the 2025 election cycle, and still inducted into the public library system as a political science work and the only living history book of its kind. I got to put some claps in there for that, right? Yeah, that's right.
It's amazing.
All
Sounds
right,
like
all
I've been
right.
listening.
So, Marcus, since Gratitude 4.0 is about awakening the gift of another day, and I want to start right there. You lived across multiple cities, survived a near death experience, and described yourself as a metamorphosis. What does waking up mean to you now, and how has that transformation shaped the man we see today?
Waking up today, as opposed to before and after, I think it's a next level appreciation of the fact of something you said earlier today. You said initially that there are thousands that didn't wake up. And as I wake up, I think about yesterday. I think about the fact that I wouldn't have had it. I think about um, each moment that passes is historical for me. So it allows me, it makes me, forces me to live in the now. And my goal is to not only be present, but to appreciate it every minute.
Hmm,
That's different.
okay.
That's wonderful. I want to help anyone who's watching understand who you are, the work you're doing, and why you're doing it. So let's start from the top before we get into the wonderful intellectual properties that you created with your books. What is the guru of kindness? Also, before we even go anywhere, let's address the hat because most people might not know, might not see, might not understand. So explain the hat before we get into it so they can see what it is.
It says "Making America Kind Again," and
Nice.
you know, it coincides with the book. It coincides with the slogan that our leadership threw out there, but with the twist. People ask me, "What is, you know, what do you mean by kind again?" And I just did a workshop at a school, a general forum, and we titled "The Courage to Be Kind." That concept took me to another stratosphere because honestly, before taking that approach, first of all, kindness is taken almost weakness. When, if it's looked at in the right frame of mind, if someone offends, hurts, abuses, there's conflict, there's differences, there's walls and barriers, how easy is it to be kind to that person? It is to magnify the differences.
Right.
As opposed to try to find any common ground or common out. So I say to you, whether you're left or right, neutral, regardless of your religion, social status, or any of the things that divide us, we should all be able to agree to making the world more kind. And so it coincides with the book and a great conversation.
Right. So what is the origin of your movement? You are the guru of kindness. And for people who don't know you, from what I know about this brother who I love dearly, this is not just a tagline. I can remember Mr. James said 10 years ago, a decade ago. I remember like 15 years ago. I remember you had an event at Cotton Club in Harlem. You were doing some outreach. I remember going down to DC with you. You're doing these things more than a decade ago. So this is not something you just jumped up today and started doing. You've been doing it for a long time. What is the origin of the guru of kindness and the work that you do?
I would say I've had a way of life, if you will, to be kind. It's been my medicine. To be really transparent, not having a really great childhood and with lots of offense and or abuse, I think my coping mechanism since I was in church, it taught me to rise above it. But at the same time, I needed more than that. So my medicine, my self-proclaimed, my self-diagnosed medicine would be to be kind to other people. And so, you know, at the youngest age I can remember, it just makes me feel good. It can go back quite far. The 10-year mark marks the official. HUPF, Hand Up Paid Forward, is the charity organization that I founded and I'm CEO for. And it's only after then that I started going on social media and showing these random acts of kindness. Are you A-OK? Random unplanned acts of kindness and these A-OK. But truth be told, as you stated, this is a way of life for me. And it's my coping mechanism for the hardest pinnacle points of my life.
Wow, let me just sidebar something real quick. And can we give people advice on this since you're the guru of kindness? You might have it in your heart to be kind, and you might just live your life that way. I'm not talking about you, just any individual. But how do you cope when you are being kind, but you're in an environment where people are not being kind?
This is where the reality of the word kindness having any weakness within it anyway. The exact scenario that you portrayed just then is the ultimate evidence of how strong does a person need to be kind. How much of a leader, how much commanding, how much self-confidence, how much of a leader. Because the scenario you pointed is one that we probably go into each day in different degrees and magnitude. Nobody's gonna. There's never gonna be a situation where everybody cares for you, likes you, uplifts you, wishes you well. But those are the times when, back to that phrase, it takes courage to be kind. It takes an inner strength.
That's right.
It takes, in most cases, something beyond you to get outside of yourself.
That's right.
In order to be kind when somebody's demonstrating anything opposing to kindness to you.
That's right. Wonderful response. I think that is something that we all can appreciate.
Amen.
Your book on AB, I mean, you have a couple books, so we're going to try to cover as much as we can, but the books that are more catered to your younger demographics, your book, ABCs of Kindness, okay? You went on, I believe, thank you. You went on a book tour with Westchester Library last summer. And
Yes.
what was the most surprising thing young readers taught you in that journey?
First of all, I've been so blessed to have lived my dreams. And I was welcome into several libraries. I focus on the first one, which was overwhelmingly stuffed with people and kids. And I was so nervous. I think my daughter was with me, helping me. And she doesn't know it, but I really needed her support being there because I was really nervous. Kids, children are a rough crowd because they're honest.
That's right.
If you're not funny, they will let you know. If
That's
you're
right.
boring, they will, especially with devices and just attention spans. So I needed confirmation of what I suspected. So as I'm writing these books, this one in particular, and I'm saying to myself, this is not a storybook as books are for kids. You know, once upon a time. It's not that. This
Right.
is a workbook. This is a book of application. This is something that kids can read about and then do what it's showing them within their own community, with their peers. This is something that at home with the family, parents, they can put it together and bring to life the action behind the book. This is something that in the schools, which I've just done some schools now, that when I'm gone, what do we do now? Let's turn to this page and let's begin. Let's go through the alphabet and let's come up with a word for kindness that means kindness with each letter. So not letting them know they're also broadening. They're learning and they're broadening even their vocabulary with these different exercises. And even if they don't have the answers, somebody else will. So there's so many hidden gems within this book of application. But to tie it together, I'll say to you, I did it then, but I'm doing it now. Again, just last week. I start saying to them that I'm gonna have competition, I'm gonna have some games, we're gonna have some fun. But if you win, I got this big bag of candy, assorted candies. And I'm letting them know in the beginning, if you win, you're winning it for someone else. You can't keep it.
That's nice.
So basically, so now they're coming in with that there in mind that I still want to win, but it's not for me. I have to give it away. So in the last one I just did, school, I had 12 kids from the beginning to the end of the 45-minute assembly. And these kids, after the second or third winner, they would come and they're looking, they're picking in the bag. They're not just picking anything. No, that's not a good one. And I'm in my head, I'm like, you're being so particular, but it's not for you. I would probably just grab whatever because it's not for me. But they're so particular. Now, what's so amazing about this is that after the thing was over, I got the teachers together and I got the principal together in a circle, and I said, "Thank you for having it, but I want to point out one thing that's miraculous." In the beginning, when I brought out the candy, there was even some kids that were trying to be sneaky and still they were drooling and overwhelmed with the fact that I get candy until they learned that it wasn't for them.
Right.
But by the middle to the end of it, they were being so particular in choosing for someone else.
Someone else. That's right.
But I asked the principal and the teachers to please note not one of those kids ever asked for a piece for themselves. The gratitude, the appreciation, the attention, the applause that they got was so satisfying to them that they didn't even need or want or desire a piece for themselves. They were satisfied, complacent, just by being a giver.
And they also understood the assignment.
Absolutely. And one of the most challenging, I won't say bad kids, but one of the most challenging kids, he was the biggest kid. He was big as I am. Okay, in 8th grade. I kid you not.
Wow.
He won and he gave it to a teacher. He was the only one to give it to a teacher out of everybody.
Nice.
And after it was over, he said, "Mr. Knight, can I have a hug?"
Wow. And that's the impact. And what you're describing right there is the impact of act of kindness. What we're talking about, the act and the work that you're doing. Well, what people may not understand is there's a huge reaction to that act. And that reaction is contagious.
Absolutely. And
people,
you imagine what you're saying right now. Imagine if that was a part of the curriculum on a daily basis, that to where that was ingrained in them. What kind of individual would that be?
That's right. That's right. And that most likely is the underpinning of the work that the tireless work that you do.
Amen. To your question initially, D'Angelo, the confirmation that it's not just in theory, the proof of concept for me to see it, and I was live. Actually, I was live on TikTok that day. So they got to see the transformation of these kids from wild to mannerable, kind, contributing members of society.
Right.
Awesome.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic.
I find it funny when you say that being an audience full of kids is not as easy as maybe being in front of adults.
A lot harder.
Yeah.
No comparison.
Yeah. So, what about the making America kind again? Because again, we're talking. You were talking specifically about this book. You got like 4 books, right? The brother wrote 4 books all last year. Okay, this book here. Oh, thank you so much. This book right here, Make America Kind Again. I have a good question on that one because this is something I know you were very proud of, especially in this kind of turbulent political time and what you've been able to accomplish with this book and your plans going into this new year. But this book was actually audited, I believe, by political forces, being Democrat and Republican, especially because when we had the election cycle last year,
right?
To be fair to both parties, they didn't want to have a book there representing either side, so it was audited and before it could be put into the public library system because they were doing elections there, as if I'm saying that correctly. And
absolutely.
And your book made it through and was defined as a political science book and even recognized as one of the only living history books of its kind. What does that recognition mean to you?
I didn't realize how serious it was until the head of the library system, came to me and basically said, little to my knowledge, it is a federal crime to have political rhetoric that is one-sided within 300 yards of a voting area. And so, they can't, there's no politicians coming and shaking hands anymore. There's nobody handing out pamphlets anymore. It is a federal offense. And so it was unprecedented. And again, it's just amazing. I did this for teenagers who are about to graduate so that they can be educated on what's happening in the world. Little did I know of how much of an impact a book of this subject would go under. And so I was scared to death when political parties are saying, well, we've got to audit this book, or we've got to read. I'm like, no, I'll just take it out. I'm good. Give it back. I'm fine.
Right.
It's like too late. So
Let me ask you a question, because you
yeah.
just mentioned that the initial inspiration was to give a message to teenagers and to help them get a certain level of understanding. Unpack that. Tell us what your intention was.
Well, I have a son who's 17. He's about to be 18. He's about to be able to vote in 5 months. I think he's brilliant. I think he's one of the top students with test scores in the state of New York. But at the same time, when I asked him about what's happening in the community, but when I asked him what's happening in our community, when I asked him what's happening in our country, after the fourth question, I just got annoyed because he couldn't tell me any logical, sensible answer because he didn't know. He has a girlfriend. That's what's on his mind. He has finals.
That's right.
Looking at colleges, like they're on him. State tests and the college exams and boards, and I get it. But it just showed me that if he doesn't know, probably there's not a great percentage of young people who are going to be. So I did some research. Now, this is where it got amazing. Do you realize that there are over 4 million kids graduating high school every year? That means there's 4 million eligible new voters every year. Documentation says that 0.4% of those actually voted in the last year.
That's right.
Out of 4 million. Me doing survey, if you will, I'm asking because I've had them come to my workshops and things, so it was never on their mind. It's never been in the United States of America. It has never been a prerequisite or an informational, a book, a class, a workshop, anything that would enlighten them on what's going on in the world society to be able to exercise your God-given right to cast a vote for the next leader of the free world, United States of America. Think about this. So again, I wasn't thinking about any of this. This is all things that have been impressed on me after the fact to go, people are saying, we should have had this book 100 years ago.
Right.
This should be a prerequisite for every graduating. If you haven't gone through this, then you can't vote because you don't know what's going on. And the fact that it's neutral and biased is just a whole nother level because it gives neither side the right to oppose. They both should be for enlightening, enriching, and enhancing the mind and giving them a reason to go and cast their vote. This being put available to students will change voting in America, in the free world, forever going forward. It has that potential.
So we're talking about this book. We're talking about this book specifically, Make America Great Again. If you're in the audience, we're having a good sit-down interview with Marcus Knight, the kindness guru. and we're talking about one of his books called Make America Kind Again. And my question further on this book, because you talk a lot about kids and teenagers, you have different versions for different ages. This is the book that is more for like young adults, right? To even
High
people
school and college,
and senior
because I am
citizens
approaching colleges now as well.
and adults as
Yes,
well.
yes.
And I think a lot of it is, when you say it's not either side political. How did you approach being able to, was did you find it difficult for your own biases not to get involved in putting this book together? Is what I'm trying to say. Okay, because some people lean a little bit to the left,
Um,
some people lean to the right, and you say this book is centered. I find that
right.
to be very difficult adventure to try to write a book like that. How did you do that?
It is if you're emotionally involved. I've been a chaplain, that you know, for quite a while. And you also know that, one of my most challenging audiences was inmates and death row. And so I had to work with men who violated children
Mm.
and women who ended lives of female, male, and children, from drug dealers to weapons and arms, some of the worst of humanity.
Right.
That was a challenge, to put aside what you've done and who you are, who you've shown the world who you are, and be present, because if those people of that caliber shut down, if they aren't communicated with, if they don't have a sense of communication, it's evident and proven that there are worse. They actually get worse. They have to. It's like sending them to solitary. Solitary confinement is one of the worst punishments to man, because you need interaction, or your mind starts to create its own reality. It's just factual.
Right.
So who wants to talk to these guys once you know what they've done? So there has to be somebody to go in for you to unload and unleash. And so I said all that in the roundabout way to come back to the book. I'm not trying to tell my son that who someone else votes for is the determination of the caliber of person that is. If they believe something that I don't, that they're lesser. I'm trying to teach book Make America Kind Again is basically to say it doesn't matter if we sit across the table on opposite sides of the table. We're
Right.
still human beings.
That's
We
right.
still have to occupy the same earth.
Right.
And in most cases, the same community. We've got to learn to agree to disagree. That's a cool saying, but it's hard to do.
That's
Even
right.
in relationships, you got a wife or a husband, and you
That's
say,
right.
I'm devoted to death do his part. But yet, when she or he gets on your nerves and goes against something that you specifically, I don't believe, or you do believe, that agree to disagree goes out the window. You're wrong, and I'm right. And so, again, summarizing the question here, for me to sit on both sides of the table and say, I just want the information about who you are. What do you do? What are you causing? If it's positive, let it be positive. If it's negative, it's negative. I have nothing to do with it. I just want to know the facts coming from both sides, and I'm going to put it on paper.
So the book
There's no
is
judgment, because there's no, what's the word I would use? Creation for me. There's no, I don't need to be creative. I'm just putting down facts.
for an example, just to be, so I understand this and the audience and people who are going to see this video can understand that this book is not taking a side. It's just only giving the actual core facts of what the overall issue is. So, for example, an issue I think I saw in your book on LGBT, rights,
Hmm.
right? You're pointing out what the actual facts are to be, and they're sourced facts. So it's just these are not.
Yes.
This is not a combination of just opinions. Because then when you say when you
No
that's why I asked you,
opinions.
because if it's opinions, then your opinions are gonna lean left or right based on your beliefs
Right.
and values. But you're just
100%.
pointing out the actual facts. When there's another example I read in your book, you were talking about the stuff that happened last year in Israel, and you painted out the decades of wars and how this all started, because people might just be dealing
Yes.
with what's at the top of the iceberg but not knowing what's below. So you pointed out what was below without your own
Right.
opinion on which side is right or wrong, correct?
Absolutely. I went into history, as you're stating. I didn't just, I'm going to steal that, D'Angelo. So I'm taking that. The top of the iceberg sticking out of the ocean, all you see is the cap. But there's a mountain below it. And I needed people, and I don't want to leave out the immigrants too, because immigrants come here to the country, and and you never know where they're getting their information from and how biased that is. So they're tainted as well. So I really want them to know who is and what is American. But as far as what you're saying is, yes, what does it mean? Define it. Where did it come from? The origin. And how did it get to where it is now? Now I want to explain to you, what do they want to accomplish? What are their issues? And then I want to go over to the other side of community. What's the opposition? What is the problem? What does the community have against it? And once again, as I write this, it's not my opinion, it's facts. Community has an issue with this. Politics is divided. One thinks this, one thinks this. It doesn't say which one is right or wrong. It just states, there was an old thing, it dates me, but it was like, just the facts, Jack. I don't even remember what show it was, but there was like a saying.
Right, but like an
That's right.
issue like LGBT issue, right, is very divided right now. It was last year when you wrote this book. It still is now. We have the Supreme Court taking up some, case in it right now in terms of youth who have decided to transition their bodies into other genders, playing in sports. That's being taken up right now. So if you have a spiritual belief on something, then you can easily take a side and say what is right or wrong because you're defending
Hmm.
your belief system. This book is, when you talk about the topic of LGBT in the book, right? How do you, what I think what you're trying to accomplish, correct me if I'm wrong, is okay, have your beliefs. Have your beliefs. That's fine. But if we were try to operate from a place of kindness, even considering what your default belief is, how can we
Hmm.
get to a place of kindness for all of us, right? Is that the bigger
Right,
question?
right.
Because no one's trying to
It's
change how you
saying
feel
respect
necessarily.
them, no matter what. They're still that's a human being. Period. And I actually wrote a little summary on that for you. I actually wrote a summary on all of them. But something I was like, if I had to pull out of that whole section, what would it be? And it's basically, I said that it combines model explorers, gender equality, LGBTQ rights, talks about religious freedom and secularism. It explains misunderstandings, fear, civil rights issues, and how respect coexists is possible. That's the summary.
Well, that's a perfect segue into this next question, which is, how did you determine, with so many things going on in the world, so much subject matter, so many opinions, so many thoughts, ideas, ideology, how did you determine the subject matters that you did choose to write about?
Awesome question. what I did is, again, I'm researching surveys through Google, through what are the top, if I would, what's the top 100 issues that face, that's most controversial issues that face the United States of America. And all this 100 comes up. Now I want to know who searched, what's the top 50 most searched questions out of this 100. Now I got 50. What's the top 30 to 40, okay, controversial issues that out of these left over, that is most searched, researched, Googled, and surveyed? There was my list. So it's really as a reaction to, this is what, not even just United States, within the world, what questions are being asked the most, and has the most, and specifically has controversial issues connected to them, both nationally and internationally. So that's how I got my list.
That's good. So, were you about to ask something, Dan?
So, although we're going to give this information at the end of this interview, but while people on and this fascinating, thought-provoking book, just quickly tell people how they can get this book and the best place to go.
Well,
Somebody
the best
might want to
place to
purchase this
go,
book right now. While they're on.
right. I'm assigned to Amazon Publishing, so if you go on Amazon, you could actually go to my page as well, and there's a link. You'll see it in the profile. But otherwise, you can go to Amazon, and there's a Marcus Knight there. So if you put in Marcus H. Knight, the H, all of my books will come in.
Thank you for
It's in 4 languages as well.
Yeah, I really
excellent.
I really like the diversity you have in the opportunities for different age groups, especially this middle one, the one that's in the middle for teenagers. I think these, as I go through, they seem to be good reads for a parent to read with the child. I think that's what you intended.
Yes.
These are really nice little coffee table books in your home that, if you want your kid to read and you want to do an activity with them, I think these are really good things to pull out. I'd like to ask you now. I know, again, going back to the more mature version of this book, a lot's happening in the world, and you just talked about how you sourced all the different things that people are actually sourcing, and then you came up with this book at what are the hot trending topics around kindness that you can help in these areas. When you look at where we are as a nation at this very moment, what direction do you believe we could go if kindness was a shared value?
Wow. I think it would change the dynamics on every level, from within the home, at school. Once again, the example I gave to you about the kids, the children who were influenced in a matter of an hour to be inclined and to be fulfilled to give. As I stated, if it was a part of an everyday, like school, if it was a part of their curriculum on an everyday basis, what kind of teenager would they grow up to be? What kind of a young adult would they grow up to be? What kind of a father would they grow up to be? What kind of a mother? What kind of a person is going to be that has been ingrained and fulfilled by giving as much or more than receiving?
That's right. That's right. That's a
It would be a
perfect.
different planet.
That's a perfect example and perfect explanation. So I have a question for you. I like to call this that we're living in interesting times. I'm not taking any one side. I'm not saying we're living in the worst of times or the best of times. We're living in interesting times. And I always say to people, there's never a moment in history where it wasn't interesting. But it's certainly interesting now. If you look at your work, and this is a two-part question. You look at your work and the movement of your act of kindness. First part of the question is, how would you gauge the kindness that is being exemplified right now in the world?
Who am I looking at?
The world.
The
Yeah, the
world.
world, not just one individual, just the world itself.
The world in general.
Well, I know you
Because
said
this two-part question that's going to speak specifically to your work. But I'm just wanting to know from your perspective, how would you gauge of 1 to 10 the kindness in the world right now?
a
And
3.
be honest. Okay. Two-part question. So it's 3. So that leads me to the second part of the question. With your work, you being a guru of kindness, it seems to be an uphill battle. How do you keep going? And how do you keep that energy that is necessary to spread this movement to the world?
I can say the revelation of that is it's been even more amplified to me today more than yesterday. And truly no one can really make a mark on their own. When I hear you introduce me, sir, and you give me accolades of praise from one black man to another, let me tell you what that does for me. That puts me in a place where I'm being respected by a colleague, by a brother, by someone who ordinarily we're taught for some reason, or it's ingrained in us to either say nothing, hold one another down, back, or be a crab. So, especially when it comes from someone who looks like me, it is so inspiring and so encouraging. And I say that because my answer is I realize that I can't do this alone. I realize that the support system that you have, and I'm actually working on that team, that support system. It's being put together on a, what's the word, when it happens so gradually, so naturally, I can't think of the word, organic.
Mm.
It's
Right.
happening right now so organically because I can get excited and want to rush. I want to shoot for the moon. I want to change the planet. But I've tried that and failed so many times
So,
that I realized at this point I need to grow down. I need to grow some roots.
right.
Yeah.
So that what comes up is stronger than anything else this time. And that is
That's
the
right.
people, the things, you. Once you see, I think next month I'll put up an advisory board at the beginning of one. It's amazing. But the answer is I can't do it alone. And the reality of me admitting that and stepping back to say, well, then I'll wait to lock arms with those people who are like-minded, like-spirited. That's the answer.
So let me ask you this. 'Cause
But
you
let me ask,
oh, sorry.
can I ask a tertiary question?
Okay.
Don't forget it.
Because that was a wonderful answer and explanation. And you mentioned something very important, that planting seeds. So something builds up and grows strong and it set roots. But have you had moments where you felt defeated?
I want to hesitate to say almost every day. At some point, it's a roller coaster. I would say this: I am blessed and cursed with a calling on my life. So a calling doesn't mean anything unless you answer the call. Then you become chosen. For many are called, but few are chosen. If you don't answer it, you're good. But if you answer it, now you are
gotta be ready.
chosen with obligations,
That's right.
with duties, with it's on you now. And so I think back to the previous question to combine them both. I know I have a beginning of a rooted foundation that there are people that I can go to. There are places that I can go to,
Mm-hmm.
whether it be within myself and my mind and my spirit, or what I need to hear audibly or tangible. I need a hug, bro,
Right.
or a handshake.
Right.
Whatever it is, I need to be, I'll even go so far to say man enough. I need to be man enough to know where my limitations are.
Yes.
And if I want to be successful, I'm gonna run and gravitate to those things that sustain me and that uplift me. And on the other side, those of you who have people who are not for you,
Right.
they've shown
That's so
them,
true.
and you can't let them go. They are the cancer or the weeds that will kill your dream.
So
That's right.
let me ask you this question because again, there's tons of topics you have in this book. Again, if you just joined our room, this is the RMan Live Talk Show. I'm your host, J Dangelo, co-host D Wilder, and we're interviewing Knight Kind. He is the he's the kindness guru, and we're talking about a series of books he has. One book in particular is "Make America Kind Again." How do we get back to a place of kindness? And again, there's many of topics in here, and going back to LGBT because we've mentioned a couple times because it's so relevant right now because of what's happening in the Supreme Court, literally right now. Perfect timing. What do you say to people? Go, make America kind again. Okay, that sounds great. It sounds great, Mr. Knight. But the reality is this, right? What does harmony look like when people hold different views? And one, that me and you've debated a couple times. Just for example, religion. Christianity is one of the biggest religions in the world. And then you have a lot of other religions, right? Whatever religion you believe, right, is usually the cornerstone of people's belief systems, and it impacts their decisions of how they see things and other people in the world. My opinion is that religion makes making kind again very difficult. That's my view. It's actually part of the problem, if you ask me. It's just my opinion. Okay.
I agree.
So how do you find harmony when people have belief systems that destroy the ability to have for us to coexist respectfully? That's what I want to say. And I know that's a tough question. So if you need to think about it for about 2 hours
Good.
or
I'm
something,
good,
you can
bro.
go ahead and do that.
I'm good. I came ready to duck and weave.
Came ready. You came ready.
If you stay ready, you ain't got to get ready.
Facts.
So
Before you answer that question, I just want to say when you answered how you want to see the world, someone in our audience said we should live like Canada. Okay, the people of Canada are kind. Okay, go ahead. Use them as an example. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. I'm gonna hit you where you live because I know you. So
Exactly. You must be from Canada.
I'm gonna say that whatever you respect, whoever you respect. So to these people who can't be in harmony, who are maybe hiding behind their religion, I want to appeal to you, Mr. D'Angelo, from the perspective of people you listen to. I share the name Guru. I'm going to ask you to think about and refer to any of the gurus that you listen to. And I'm going to ask you to imagine they're in a seat next to me. And you would see nothing but love coming between us. That's it. And if someone of disgruntled or problematic would oppose a question or try to instigate an argument, a confrontation, it wouldn't happen between us. You know me, you've listened to your guru. I'm responding to the perhaps ignorance, perhaps, I don't know, whatever issues that they're carrying. I'm responding in kind in quiet, in peace, and I want to try to identify who they are, what they do believe, and I want to try to concur with them. I want to find out where our common ground. Because in most cases, if you believe in any religion, you have some commonality with me. Absolutely. Once I find that and we establish it, now I've got to inquire to you whether or not your actions, your words, your thoughts represent the God you say you represent.
Okay, I get that, but can I ask you a little bit more pointed question with that? Because I totally understand what you're saying, and even people in the audience are, saying some things similar. Like for example, at the heart of these religions, there is some foundation of kindness, but I think where it gets a little difficult, and I would wonder you being a chaplain as well, how you would engage someone, let's say, who strongly does not believe in LGBT rights. You're saying you're looking at it from a humanity, regardless of what their beliefs is, but a person who starts from their belief system with religion being the what's shaping their viewpoint,
Right.
what would you say? Because does your book
I have
answer
50
that question?
scriptures.
By the way,
I have 50 scriptures that are there in their Bible or in their Quran, it's there that commands them to love their fellow man, regardless, to not judge or be judged. There are so many, and within the basis of every religion, you can. The problem is everyone wants to pick and choose, and this is what I say to you when we talk about religion and Christianity. Within Christianity and religion, people pick and choose which scripture they want to listen to and abide by. I'll take that one and that one. They want Uber Eats.
Right.
We gonna dissect.
Right. Which one is convenient for them?
Slices. It's all or nothing, bro.
Right.
So,
right.
And I'll give you a great example. At my son's high school, they made it a mandate that there was an LGBTQ workshop, mandatory, because fights and things that were happening amongst whatever. Education. It was backed and supported by the mayor, funded by the city. I said no. My son, I don't want him to go. It's mandatory. So I got to get up out of my. I got to go down to the school and say, I said no. No means no. I'm the parent. You can't tell me what. Listen, people. But you know what? I can still go into that room. Hi, I'm Chaplain Knight. Shake a hand, and if he's open to it, hey, we hugging where I come from. God bless you, bro. Have an amazing class. That is being an adult, a level of maturity. That person, little do they know, little do I know, that person in life and death situation could be willing to sacrifice themselves for me. I don't know. I'm not judging the man, the woman, whatever you want to claim to be. I'm not judging you because of your choices or the way you look. I don't know your moral fiber or caliber of person human as a human being. I don't know that you gave $1,000 to charity and support children with AIDS. I don't. So what you're talking about, D'Angelo, is ignorance, and it's the biggest cancer that faces our country and our world.
I would argue that it's not ignorance. I would argue the reverse. It's education. It's education. If you in an institution, if you're institutionalized,
wouldn't education be the cure?
If you're institutionalized by information, and you're educated on information that helps you take a stance in either direction. So I would say it's not ignorance. We need to unlearn some things. I would probably say more than anything, we need to unlearn some things.
To clarify, I would consider that misinformation is what the ignorance, it's the untruth. It's not, once again, it's the anti of this book. It is not both sides. It is just one side. And to be honest, there's no way you can be educated only knowing half.
That's right. So, Mr. James, I appreciate your perspective because that's a wonderful interjection. But, Brother Knight,
Yes.
what is your ultimate goal in your act of kindness? And that, I think, is piggybacking off the question of Mr. James. What is your ultimate goal? Are you trying to convince people to be kind? Are you trying to share and spread kindness? What is your takeaway when you do the work that you do?
When I give a class, workshop, or speaking opportunity, my goal is to demonstrate, and it's amazing to watch, the power of kindness once it's instilled. And it's so easy because most kids learn by example. So when they see me do it, and if I talk to the teachers and we've got this plan, we're setting them up for success. We're setting them up for positive, to digest what we're giving and letting them know, because initially, a lot of kids are too cool to be kind. So once again,
at least they think they are. That's right.
if I'm setting them up, let me example. It was on YouTube. We had this group of kids on a basketball team, and there's a one kid who obviously he was poor. He was single mom, whatever. He had these no name brand shoes, and he was getting picked on. So the other kids on the basketball team, they're 8th graders. They went home to all their parents, and they all pitched in. And he came back to basketball to play, and they surrounded him and said, "Here." They gave him a pair of new Jordans. This is all kids, bro. The pride that these cool kids had. I don't care. Buzzer beater, 3-2-1. I don't care. The winning touchdown. There was no cooler than this.
Right.
There was no more. Those kids who begin to know they're sexy. There was no sexier than the kindness that they gave. And the girls, by the way, who were impressed beyond measure upon the caliber of every boy, young man who took part in helping this lesser young man. I know what it can do. It's just that the word is so flippant and taken so lightly. But it's almost to say, I want to go Will Smith on the world. Put some respect on it.
Well, that being said, that's funny. That's being said, what you almost answered the question, but what do you see? What would bring you to the state of grace where you feel my work has been done?
I really believe that if the right people see, if I just keep laying blocks and bricks in schools, I've been invited to churches. I mean, just the opportunity of demonstrating and showing, not to mention this book where I spoke to several politicians and I gave them the numbers, 4 million every year. They didn't know that fact. There's nobody that I've shared that number with in every capacity that had ever thought of voters every year within the United States, whatever it is. That's a big number, bro. I looked at the voting here in my community. There are elected officials that won one elected official, one office with less than 100 votes. Another one, there was 300 and something. Another one was 500 and something. Those numbers weren't big.
Right.
They barely made, it was
Yep.
counting down to fingers. Imagine again if the small percentage increase gradually. Like I said, I'm not just blowing smoke when I say that voting in America will be changed by the youth going forward, starting in the next generation going forward. And at some point, hopefully, both parties are going to see the value in educating for the first time in the history. Oh my God. You said you were proud of me in the beginning. I was emotional, but I'm saying I don't think I've ever been proud of myself. To feel like one of those guys that I'm a black man, I'm a man of color who came up with something that somebody should have did again 100 years ago
Yeah, and I think it's
to put
important.
us in a different light.
I think it's important to say, I think the politicians are focused on the young youth, the college, minded coming out and trying to get their attention. We've seen it that they're doing that. I
Well,
think
that's a
Yeah.
fact, because I don't mean to interrupt you, but when you say that most people didn't know about it, let me tell you something. The think tanks know about it.
yes.
And for a lot of people from political standpoint, they want it to be that way, where the young people are not part of the process, because they know real change will start to happen if they are.
So what's important to say here about the book is that it's not biased towards any particular political group. It's just giving sourced facts or what the issues are, and again, what's not at the top or what's at the bottom of all these issues in terms of. So a person who's young could make a sound decision on their voting based on the facts, because we're in a
The
time
facts.
now with social media and everything. People get their information from a lot of different sources. It's not exactly, these independent sources are not always with the mindset of giving people the right information. They're trying to push a narrative.
Correct.
So where can they go
Correct.
where they can just get the actual facts on both sides, so they can make a sound decision on how they're going to view certain things in life? That's what I think we really want to say. I wanted to ask one more question that he was leading to, Des was leading to, about what's next, right? Are there more books next? And also, is there anything coming down the pipeline that we should know that you're working on in terms of your kindness movement?
To both of you, what's next and my wish list, I guess. This is what I want to do for the rest of my life. I really want to impact the next generation, my culture, our country. I'm scheduling to speak at churches. I'm scheduling to speak at schools, and there's some organizations I actually partnered with Barack Obama's after school program. So we've actually partnered. My brother's keeper. I believe I'm going to be one of the speakers at the next national meeting that's coming up in March. There are 9 high schools in my region that we are trial AOK Club. This is an after school program where kids are volunteering to get together, and the goal would be once a quarter, once every 3 months, to target either another kid or a student or a teacher, faculty, parent, somebody who's deserving, and to bless them, to bless their socks off. I want to teach them supervisor managerial skills and leadership and communication, for them to be able to go out and fundraise and talk to managers and owners of businesses and establish relationships. So we're starting in 9 schools here. Hopefully starting next month, February, the first 5. And I hope to keep the lines of communication open with the public libraries, just so that once a month they can come in and learn. But I'm having politicians come to see the presentations. I'm having the teachers and the principals come to see the presentation. I really believe that if I just keep pressing forward, there is nothing like this book. And there has been no mission for our youth to actually take, ownership and to be educated and empowered to make a decision, like you said, to actually go out and pass that vote. But there's no way for them to go through these workshops and courses and classes without feeling empowered after the fact. My dream, and I want you to mark me, because I actually spoke to someone yesterday. I really believe that the United Nations should be the carrier, especially since the United States is the cornerstone of the world. Then everyone should have access to what is America really about? What are they like? What's going on? There should be a source that's earnest so that somebody can come in and go from ground zero, go, oh, okay, I get it. As opposed to getting that information and coming into our country looking sideways at anybody because of what they've been told.
Gotcha. Okay.
I don't know where it can go. I just have to not quit.
Well, let's make sure, we're coming to the end of this interview, and we're definitely going to have you back, because we had some great conversations, and I would love to learn more. There's so much. I want to reiterate to everyone, we have this is the RMan+ Talk Show. Myself, J Dangelo, and at the very corner at the bottom, D Wilder, co-host, and we had our special guest, Mr. Knight, Marcus Knight here. He's an author, motivational speaker, and chaplain, and he had a series of books that he took us through the day. There's actually like 4 or 5, probably like 8 books, but like different languages as well. But one of the core books we were talking about is Make America Kind Again, and it talks a lot about all the different issues that we see are being debated right now politically, globally, but it's not biased to any particular religion, and it just gives you the straight up facts, completely sourced facts, so you can make sound decisions. A great table book to have in your home as well, to go through with kids if they have a general question about, well, why is Israel arguing with Iran? Oh, just go right here. Okay. Stuff like that, right? And can you just let us know again, where can people pick up this book or all your books?
Okay, well, if you're on TikTok, you can go to my page, and basically in my profile, there's a link that will take you directly there. Otherwise, again, there is a Marcus Knight that's registered with Amazon Publishing. So I'm Marcus H. Knight. Put Marcus H. Knight in the search. All of my books will come in with all languages. And just to say that, I've been invited to Catholic churches, Lutheran churches, Methodist. Honestly, I've been getting accosted by different religions from which people have an issue with as well. But I'm saying, if there are kids in there, or there are people that are seeking knowledge of the truth, I really don't care what your faith is. I just want you to be educated on the truth.
Right, and I'm glad you said that. We can also go to do you have a website if people are interested in booking you for workshops like that, like you mentioned as well?
Absolutely. And perhaps when we put this together, we can put the link on.
Okay.
But yeah, you can go to Acts of Kindness. Actually, I'm gonna have to get you in the chat because
okay. That's okay. We'll make sure it's added to
we
the
just
end.
made the new.
Okay.
Yeah, we made the new.
Well, hey man, this was a great conversation. Des, what any takeaways that you learned about this that you'd like to share? And I want to just say shout out to people who were in the room as well. Thank you for the audience that's been here listening in. I hope you got something out of this as well. What's your thoughts, Des?
So you asked, is there any takeaways? And I have a huge takeaway. I know this brother. and I've watched him and I know his work. But today, in this interaction, the light came on for me. Because I'm an energy person. So it's not just words, it's not just action, behavior, but energy. And your energy connected to me today. And you said a couple of words here and there, but not just the words, but the passion behind it. And you said something to the effect of, I want this to be my life work and I want to do this for my life. You will.
You are.
You also said in your effort, do this, that you have to find strength in that you were chosen. You were making a distinction between someone chosen and someone who walked away from what they are assigned to do. Well, you were in fact chosen. This is your assignment. And know this, that when you have your assignment, you will get the tools to do it, you will get the resources to do it, and you will have the Creator's support and guidance and lifting you up as you do it. This is powerful work, and I'm so proud of you. I can't say in words how proud I am.
Yep, same here.
I love you, brother. And you keep doing what you're doing.
That's right.
Peace and blessings.
And we'll be seeing you soon again. Hey, you guys, again, this is the Renaissance Man Talk Show Live, Renaissance Man Experience. We're a podcast. Also, we are a live stream on Thursdays at 10 p.m. Every Thursday at 10 p.m. Eastern Time Zone. We talk the hot topics, and then we go into our second act awakening, where we make sure that people know how to live their fullest life with some great professional information on how to keep themselves relevant in their second act. If you like the format, go ahead and go to each of our rooms. We all go live on our own, but we also, me and my partner below our show I just told you about, click on the both of us so you'll get the notifications when we go live. Come on in and participate. And if you have something special that you're working on, that you need promoted, or information you want to share that can help educate, support, and inspire people like this brother right here, please reach out to us. We'd love to have you come on the show and give you a platform. All right. Have a nice weekend. It is Martin Luther King Day off. That means it's entitled for us to be able to lay on our butts a little bit longer and stay in the bed if we want to. Okay. We don't have to go out and do something. We can just lay down.
No. Actually, the Martin Luther King, they're celebrating and commending Martin Luther King, his effort for works of kindness, just like this brother here, acts of kindness. Okay. And it's a day where you need to do something for someone else. It's bigger than you, bigger than me. I was thinking about. So don't sit on your butt. Don't sit on your butt. Do something.
I was thinking about doing something for myself, actually. You know.
No, that's not what it's.
Yeah, like getting a little bit more sleep. You know what I'm saying? That's what I was thinking. That's wrong.
Yeah, that's wrong. Pretty much.
Okay, all right. I'll do something. I'm gonna figure it out. I'm gonna do something for somebody tomorrow.
It's a day of giving. Right. That's right.
Okay. All right. Well, it's nice seeing you, but I'll see you guys soon. Have a nice day, nice Sunday.
Peace and blessings, bro.
Love you.
You too.
Love you too, brother.